Communication Basics and 7 Skills Your Parents Didn't Teach You by Gerlach. Lesson 2 of 7, Learn to Communicate Effectively from the website Break the Cycle, Lesson 2.3. On this playlist and also on the index, okay? So, as always, the sources are down below. Content, 14 premises about effective communication. I will read this from the beginning because it says some important things. This article is one of the series describing effective thinking, communicating, and problem-solving concepts. This article summarizes the 7 learnable communication skills that are essential for building higher nurturing relationships and preventing and resolving personal and social conflicts effectively. Reading will not make you a more effective communicator. If you patiently practice the ideas in this lesson, you will significantly improve your communication outcomes in all situations. To gauge your knowledge of communication basics, try this quiz and return here. I've studied thinking and communication skills for over 40 years. This is Gerlach speaking. And have taught scores of lays and business classes and workshops for those topics. I estimate that under 5% of these 1,000 plus adult therapy clients and students I have worked and knew how to communicate and problem solve effectively. Their childhood caregivers and teachers probably didn't either. This ignorance is part of the wounds and unawareness cycle that silently stresses most American families like yours. Content, 14 premises about effective communication, an overview of 7 powerful communication skills you have probably never taught, and when to use each skill. This article assumes you are familiar with the introduction to this non-profit website, the premises underlining it, and self-improvement lesson 1. I include several YouTube videos below in case you have an audiovisual learner. These premises. Think of someone with whom you consistently communicate or communicated well with. Then think of someone you have had significant trouble communicating with. Keep these people in mind and consider the following ideas. If you disagree of any of these premises, note what you believe. Premise 1. Any perceived behavior that causes a significant mental, emotional, physical, spiritual reaction in another person, in someone's opinion, is communication. Our English verb to communicate comes from the Latin verb communicare, which means to share. Premise 2. In any relationship, it's impossible not to communicate. We are unconsciously decoding meanings from silence, withdrawals, phone hang-ups, and absences as much as we do from written, verbal, and non-verbal actions. Think of this the next time you feel and hear she didn't respond. Premise 3. We communicate with ourselves, thinking, and with other people to reduce current discomforts, for example, to fill current needs. 5 communication needs. Kids and adults try to feel respected by yourself and each communication partner, regardless of age, gender, knowledge, and roles. This need is constant in all social and solitary situations, and we need to give and or get information. For example, what time will you be home, and or we need to cause or prevent action, including changing or maintaining the psychological distance boundaries between us and others, and we communicate. To vent, for example, we need to describe our current thoughts, feelings, and needs to another person, and to feel understood and accepted by them, versus to get fixed, or we communicate to avoid something uncomfortable like silence, confrontation, a loss, a disappointment, a criticism, a conflict, boredom, and unpleasant emotions and or awarenesses. These 5 needs aim to increase immediate emotional, physical, spiritual comfortable. If there are no other reasons you communicate with people at them, we usually have at least 2 of these needs at once, because the unconscious need for self-respect and mutual respect is constant. This is especially true for shame-based, psychological wounded people. Our combination of personal and social needs can vary quickly as our inner and outer environments change. Thus, awareness of our respective needs, thoughts, feelings, and behaviors is the key keystone communication skills. Are you usually aware of why and how you communicate? Do you know what to do if your and your partner's communication needs are values conflict? Premise 4. Effective communication happens when each person involved gets enough of their current primary needs met by their own definition, in a way that leaves them feeling good enough about A, themselves, and B, all the others involved, and C, process in among them. If you accept this definition, note two key implications. In important exchanges, all people need clearly aware of each person's needs and the odds of who people both achieving these two factors are. One is 16, or about 6%. Here's why. So he has a little table. Okay, can I don't know if it is focused. Well, it's on the other way, so I would suggest always to check the sources so that you can read together with me. Okay, possible outcomes, communication outcomes, primary needs met. So you have all the outcomes. Okay, because definitions of good enough may vary from person and circumstance, definitions of effective verbal communication vary. What you feel is effective may not match my definition. We both are right. The definition that counts is that both believe right now. What percentage of the time would you say you and your mate and you and each child in your life communicate effectively? How effective are you in communicating with yourself? Thinking. This premise provides a useful way to judge how effective your communication is in any situation or relationship. This allows spotting current or habitual communication blocks and using 7 skills to prevent or current them together. Premise 5. There are at least 5 requisites to be an effective communicator. This YouTube video outlines them. Premise 6. Effective communication may happen when all people's current needs match well enough. For example, I need to vent and you need to maintain our relationship and to get information about me. When our respective communication needs conflicts, we share a communication problem. To make things more interesting, the subcells ruling each person's personality may have communication needed conflicts at any time. Parts of me to hear you clearly and another part wants to vent. Premise 7. Face-to-face verse, we communicate on 3 channels at once. Verbal, spoken words, voice dynamics, tone, tempo, inflection, volume, accent, and non-word sounds, and non-verbal, and face and body language. Face-to-face, most of the meaning we decode from our parents' behaviors comes through our eyes. Often, the least impactful meaning we exchange comes from our words, but we are taught from childhood to focus on them the most. How often are you aware of each of these 3 channels in important exchanges? Such awareness allows spotting and confusing double messages. Recall, we are reviewing the 14 basic premises about communication inside and between people. Have you ever seen premises like this before? Premise 8. Many communications we send and decode are unconscious. We leak our true feelings and attitudes all the time via tiny vocal and physical cues. And we may send conflicting double or mixed messages via different channels, for example words. Good to see you. Body, face and tone. I don't want to talk to you now. Any motivated person, for example you, can become more aware of their communication needs and how they are communicating. That promotes avoiding, spotting, and reducing communication problems, and significantly improving outcomes. Table graph. Premise 9. We try to get current communication and other needs met by exchanging up to 5 concurrent messages on each of our 3 channels. Right now, I am or you are feeling, needing, thinking, doing, and ranking whose needs are the most important. The last one can be called respect message. I suggest that is the most critical of the 5. It is usually sent and decoded unconsciously because we all need to feel respected enough in every relationship and situation. Perceived R messages control the quality of every spoken and unspoken communication exchange, including right ones. Do you agree? The 3 possible R messages are: here and now. You seem to value your needs, worth, and dignity more than mine, so you feel 1 level up superior and I'm 1 level down. The extreme version of this is: you don't exist, your needs are worthless or worth less than mine. So you feel 1 down and I am 1 up, or you value or needs equal to mine. For effective communication, all people steadily need to receive credible, we are equal R messages, which come from a genuine self-respect and mutual respect. This is the most likely in their respective true selves, capital S, steadily guide their other subselves. Reality check, think of someone you have trouble communicating with. What would you say are the average R messages each of you perceives from each other? Now answer the same question about someone you communicated well with. What do you notice? Incidentally, note that your ruling subselves are our messages, so pretending to respect someone will usually cause a double message and earn their distrust. Have you experienced that? Premise: effective communication will only happen when all people consistently feel stable self-respect and mutual respect. Implication: shame-based wooden people often have trouble communicating effectively until they improve their self-love and self-respect via personal wound recovery. Lesson 1. This is because their ruling subselves feel worthless and unlovable, inferior, and often misinterpreted respectful communications as attacks, criticisms, and discounts. My clinical experience since 1981, don't forget this is about Gerlach, okay? In 1981 I was a toddler, is that well over half of the kids and adults in typical trouble families are significantly shame-based and they don't want to realize this or what it means. Premise 11. The effectiveness of your communication is directly proportional to the quality of your thinking. Fuzzy and disorganized to focused and logical, the qualities of your thinking reflects which subselves control your personality in calm and stressful situations, your working vocabulary, and your self-awareness. Accepting this premise can motivate you to learn powerful communication skills of awareness and clear thinking. Premise 12. Your communication skills and effectiveness can be improved over time, anytime, like any skills. This takes willingness to learn and change and motivation, patience, and practice. Improving your communication effectiveness means getting your current needs met more often and helping others to do the same. This promotes a more productive, satisfying life, especially if you give young people the priceless gift of effective communication skills. Premise 13. Get the maximum benefits from acting of these communication premises requires that your true self consistently guide your other personality subselves. Lesson 1. In this non-profit site and its related guidebook provide perspective, practical options, and resources for achieving that over time. Do you know who's controlling your life now? Premise 14. Effective communication requires shared knowledge, awareness, and a committed, cooperative attitude and effort among all people involved. So it's not always possible at all moments. This is especially true if one or more people are ruled by a false self. Pause and reflect. Do these communication premises seem realistic and credible? How do they compare with your core beliefs? How many average adults, like your mate, parents, and siblings, do you think could name and describe even 5 of these 14 premises? The good news is anyone can learn and apply them at any time. Please leave your comments below. I'm eager to read them. Now, let's put these premises to work. 7 communication skills. Recall, all animals, including humans, instinctively communicate to reduce current discomforts, for example, to fill current needs. Can you name a more essential learned skill? There are 7 specific skills you can learn to fill your relationship needs consistently. Awareness of your 4 zones, clear versus first fuzzy unfocused thinking, empathetic listening, digging down to uncover current primary needs, assertion, meta talk, talking about how to communicate, and win-win problem solving. Reflect. Who taught you how to communicate? Keep them in mind as you read this summary. My bet is that you could not name these skills or say or to use each ones. If so, they didn't know how to communicate or get their needs met effectively, and probably you don't either. Skills outline. Awareness. Paying non-judgmental attention to specific things going on inside of us, for example, our thoughts, feelings, and our subself's dynamic needs and behaviors. Inside our partners, empathetic and respectful guess estimated. Between us, partners' verbal and nonverbal dynamics, and around us, our environment. Making this skill automatic as a habit is essential for the other 6 skills you be effective. Clear thinking and important communication intentionally, avoiding the vague pronouns and phrases, for example, it, that, them, this issue, work through, etc. Staying focused and develop using clear descriptive vocabulary. Empathetic or reflexive or active listening, briefly saying back what you hear and see without judgment. Fluency in this vital skill requires awareness of clear thinking. Digging down. Below the surface needs to identify each partner's current needs. This requires 3 prior skills: assertion of your perceptions, opinions, and needs, This requires four private skills: self and mutual respect, a clear awareness and acceptance of our personal rights. This skill is respectful. Identifying and requesting or demanding what we need, and calmly handling expected resistance with empathetic listening and reasserting until we get credible compliance or shift to problem solving. Meta talk. Talking together about how we communicate using awareness and special set of terms as mutually respectful teammates with a common goal. The sixth skill is problem solving, conflict resolution, which is far more productive, need fulfilling than debating, explaining, arguing, interrogating, lecturing, preaching, hinting, demanding, analyzing, fighting, avoiding, generalizing, and withdrawing. Have you ever seen this vital skill summarized before? Has anyone ever taught you why, how, and when to use each skill effectively? How would you describe each skill now to an average preteen? Could the other important adult in your family and life do that? Starting with your childhood caregivers. Learn something about yourself with this one question anonymous poll. Are you modeling and teaching these communication basics and skills to the young people in your life now? Doing so is a priceless lifelong gift to them and their descendants. When do I use each skill? Learn to use them in each specific social situations. Use awareness and clear thinking in all important social situations and focus on whether anyone is controlled by the false self, starting with you, your respective are messages, attitudes, and primary needs, and be aware of the process and outcomes in and between your subselves and partners. This awareness creates the input to meta talk and problem solving skills. Use respectful, empathetic listening when your partner is currently distracted by intense emotions and can't hear you. Effective empathetic listening brings a partner intense emotions below their ears, which restores their hearing and comprehending. This skill requires yourself to guide you empathy and genuine pseudo-mutual respect, patience, awareness skills. Listening is not necessarily agreeing, okay? Use respectful attention. To state your opinions and needs is in a way your partners can hear you clearly. You use assertion when their ears are open, for example, via empathetic listening. Effective assertion requires a genuine mutual respect and influence in the three communication skills above. Alternatives to assertion are aggression, focusing on your needs, only our messages, I'm up, one up, or submission, discounting or ignoring your messages, on messages, I'm one down. Use meta talk, digging down, and problem solving at any time. You and your partner have conflicting needs. Effectiveness and problem solving requires your true self guiding your personality and influence with all of other five communication skills. Problem solving involves clearly identifying what you each really need now. Cooperatively brainstorming options to fill your respective primary needs, and then staying focused on seeking compromise that fits well enough for both of you. Usually, problem solving fills all participant needs well enough only if each person is guided by their true self. Wants to maintain a two-person awareness bubble, stay focused, and consistently receives credible, equally respect our messages. Reflect how likely is that adults and kids who are the most important to you could have and describe these skills and when to use them. What if they could? Recap from the 40 years of study and experience this article proposes. You are probably unaware of how to communicate effectively and you don't know what's possible. A two-factor definition of effective communication, 14 premises communication basics, and 7 powerful communication skills, and when to use which one. Using these basic ideas and skills well depends on you being guided by your true self. So progress on self-improvement lesson 1 before putting these ideas to work with you and your family. My unique practical guidebook of learning effective communications is Satisfaction, 7 relationship skills you need to know. It integrates the key articles and resources in this website. Satisfaction means our needs are filled. In 40 years study, I have never found any book that focused on the basic premises of that skill in this article. Have you? No, I didn't. I wonder why. This is from Peter Gerlach, okay? Thank you very much for listening to me. Comment, like, subscribe, hit the bell button, share the video on the social media for consultations and donations. The email is down below. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Bye.